mission, solving mysteries in the night. Chasing shadows, finding answers, shining bright light. No one's left behind, in the darkness all alone. With a heart like a siren, she brings the lost ones home. Silent cries in the dark no longer have to be. For justice, wheels keep turning, granny on the beat. Broken voices find their power, call out hope again. When Granny's crime busters run, no victims left in pain. Bravery in her veins, truth she won't disguise. With a fire in her eyes, she's got nothing to deny. Granny fights for justice, never backs down from the call. For the voiceless and the missing, she'll stand tall.
Hello, hello, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? You're all doing good. I don't know when this cold snap is going to end, but I'm ready for it too. Hello, K9. Good to see you. Joanne, welcome in. Good to see you. We're happy to have you here. Ginger Girl, hello, hello. So we are going to continue our series tonight on Jack and Lily for sure. I've got just a couple of things to show you here. And at least one weird thing. Chilly there too. Yeah. Hello, Katie. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm just sitting here and I'm cold and I keep thinking all day I should put on some socks and I just haven't done it yet, but but I am sitting here with a lap blanket on. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, we'll get started with our spotlight on the missing. All right. Escarleth Rios. I hope I said her name right. She has been missing since July 1st, 2023. Almost 2 years, guys. Last seen in Nashville. 13 years old, 4 feet 10 inches tall, 110 pounds, black hair, and brown eyes. You know anything about where she might be or anything about her disappearance, please call the Nashville Police Department, 911 or 1-800-TBI-FIND. Guys, these girls, you know, these teenagers that have been missing for a couple of years, I really have to wonder if trafficking is involved. I hope not. I sincerely hope not, but it's just too many of them. Second one is Suri Morales Banegas. She has been missing since August 26, 2023, last seen in Knoxville. She was 15 years old, 5 feet 4 inches tall, 125 pounds, black hair, and brown eyes. A couple of different pictures there for you to see of Suri. If you know anything about Suri's whereabouts or her disappearance, please call Knoxville Police Department, 911 or 1-800-TBI-FIND. The next thing I want to talk about is we've made it to 1,500 subscribers, so we're going to party. So Saturday, this coming Saturday, the 24th at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, come on and join us. We're going to play games and giveaways. Going to have fun. Some fun instead of talking about the dark stuff all the time. Hello, Melissa. Good to see you. I tip the thermostat is downstairs here. And of course, I mean, I could turn it on if I wanted to, but I don't. Try to save some money here. So I don't turn it on because I know at some point, typically when the sun comes back out again, it heats the upstairs up. So I don't do it unless it's below zero out there or something. So, all right. Well, there was one thing I wanted to show you guys. I found it very strange. People come out of the woodwork when there are missing children. That's all I have to say. Hello, Brenda Joe. Gotcha. I kind of figured. How you doing today? You doing all right? I've been thinking and praying about for you. All right. Sure you can see this. So here's a post, and this guy is a Sebastian follower. He's, on the Lilly and Jack case as well. And he said, there's a lady on my TikTok page who keeps saying that she spotted Lilly and Jack Sullivan at a hotel in Temecula, California. She posted pics and vids, but I don't see anything. This was sent to the RCMP, but there's no current evidence to suggest that the kids crossed the border. She's saying, I'm telling you, they were brought to California. I saw Jack. Nobody is listening to me. WTF is wrong with everyone. They were at an extended stay in Temecula, California, room 235. She's contacted everyone. No one's taking her serious. She has a video of the kids being brought in at 4 a.m. on the 10th, and on the morning of the 12th, I saw Jack, but the other child already got into the car. That night, a lady showed up with a huge empty cooler, and moments later, I heard the other girl's devastating cry, I'm so sorry, and I never heard or seen the kids again. I also have photos of their boots. I wish I never witnessed any of this. See if I can. But anyways, so here's a picture that she says is a picture of the dinosaur boot. She said, when I stop the video, it blurs. I don't know. I see nothing. I've sent these photos to authorities. And she said, there is the pink boot. And then she said, please watch entire video. It's only a minute. And you're watching, this is the vehicle, guys, but you're watching the person that's walking by allegedly has Jack in their arms. So, what you thinking? Do you guys see anything? So, gotcha. Hello, Shelley. Good to see you. Chemistry Queen, Pam. Good to see you guys. So what do you guys think? Did you see any boots in those pictures? Did you see Jack? I mean, I didn't. And not a thing. And you're right, Melissa. Exactly. I'd have to use my imagination to see it. Guys, Temecula, California, that's quite a long ways from Nova Scotia. Yeah, not buying it. Y- I agree with you, you know, and evidently this woman is, um, so let me see if I can. This woman is really bugging him, right? I have contacted everyone and nobody's taking me serious. Um, and then the video, blonde boy being carried by a male to a hotel room about 4 a.m. on Monday. I've sent this to Temecula PD so they can look into this and determine if there's anything foul or suspicious, you know, which I mean, 4 a.m. It's kind of weird that they're carrying a child, right? But the odds, I think, of it being Jack or Lilly, in my opinion, slim to none. But you know, I do thank God that people feel like they want to help. But guys, if she took these videos and she really felt it was them, she just needed to exactly why not focus on their entire features. She just needed to get it to RCMP. Local police were there in Temecula, right? And leave it there. Not put it on social media, right? And the reason that I say that is because, now I would not have shown this if a child had been shown. But you can't make out anything. You can hardly make out if that's a child, right? Well, she said she did. Um, she said I've contacted everyone and no one is taking me serious. That's what she said. So she should have left it there, though. In my opinion, she should have left it there. Did they fly out? I mean, did they fly out before they were even reported missing? That's a possibility, guys. Right? That's always a possibility. Right? I'm glad I'm not LE working missing children's cases. It's crazy, you know? It's so wrong, in my opinion, you give it to police and you leave it there. Okay? Don't put it on social media. You can't see anything in these photos. You can't. You can't even tell if that's a child. I can't tell that there's a dinosaur boot or a pink boot. You can't see anything, right? I can imagine what he'd have to say. Speaking of which, I saw one of his comments on X, guys, and I just kind of had to chuckle because I'll share it with you. I only watch creators with skin in the game. I've seen other comments that he's made where he doesn't understand why creators won't just say what they're thinking, right? Well, I'm going on the record here saying that um, he probably never watched me because my I don't want my skin to get sued. Don't get me wrong, I love Mr. Yummy, but I just think it's funny. Maybe he can afford to get sued. I can't. Oh, so you guys were talking yesterday about yeah, did they have passports? That's a very good question because you do need passports now between Canada and America, do you not? Yeah, and you do have cameras in your airports. Oh, well, if those boots are sold at Walmart, how many kids have them boots, right? And so, RCMP is probably checking airport footage. You know, that's my opinion. But we were all talking yesterday about Mr. Pokemon being an avid fisherman. I did find this 2019 on Facebook for Lunker Trunk. he he got an award because he was the only member to post 6 different species of fish. And these were all pictures on Lunker Trunk. You can go right to Lunker Trunk on Facebook and look at their photos, and you can find these pictures. I couldn't find the one that's on the screen right now, but I did find the rest of these. This one's my favorite. Is that a different species of fish? I mean, I don't know. Or was that bait? I don't know. Oh, there's one. That's really an ugly one, but it's huge. There you go. So, yes, he's an avid fisherman. I didn't see him with a boat, so I can't answer that question for you. Big time on passports. That's what I thought. Be nice. It was before Trump that those passports were put in place because I remember it going into place when I lived near Duluth because we wanted to go up, which, the Canadian border is only a couple hours from Duluth. And we wanted to go across the border to see something. And I didn't have my passport, so I couldn't go. So that was before Trump. So yeah, he is a fisherman. He's got a Bass Pro Shop shirt on. Bass Pro Shop shirt on there. And that one, I don't know what logo is, but it's a blue shirt. So here, his beard is all cut off because during these he's got long growth. But this was in 2019, guys. So Yeah. So he is an avid fisherman. Elbows up, Ginger. does, does he ever have a genuine smile anywhere that anyone has seen? Um, I don't know. Did he ever have a smile with some of those photos that people got when Malaya had her Facebook up just briefly? What are the odds? Are they clicking on it constantly to see if she's going to release it or what? Because I've checked several times and I've never seen that. So you want to go to Canada one day? I often thought it'd be cool to go visit Heartland. I love that show. Cave Ben like features. He must have lots of fish stories to tell. Yeah, but here's my question. Where is he fishing? That one, no. He didn't catch in no brook or stream. This one maybe. He might have caught that one in a brook or stream, Shelley. I couldn't help it when I saw that one. I busted up laughing, and I'm like, okay, I got to show that one tonight. He may have caught the wrong fish when he hooked the mom. More like a smirk, yeah. Yeah, and this was all before he met mom, before he met Leia, right? So I don't know if that type floats your boat, I guess. Hello, Kent. Gerlach Lake is a pretty good sized lake, is well known for fishing. Gotcha. Hello, Cecilia. Good to see you. Good to see you. All right. So, there is a update that we can watch. A little bit of one anyway. See that? All right. Okay.
Search for two missing children in Nova Scotia is now in its third week. Nova Scotia RCMP say they are determining their next steps after another ground and air search for 6-year-old Lilly and 4-year-old Jack Sullivan took place over the weekend. The siblings went missing from their Lansdowne Station home May 2nd, and police say they have found zero trace of what happened to these two children. For more on where the investigation stands this morning, we're joined from Midland, Ontario by Chris Lewis, CTV public safety analyst and former OPP commissioner. Good morning.
Good morning.
We'll remember the press conference where the police called off a portion of their search for Lilly and Jack on Sunday evening. What could that indicate where this investigation stands as of today?
Well, when they made that call to downscale the search. At that point, they made statements that they didn't believe the children would still be alive, which was somewhat concerning because it hadn't been that long at that point. Of course, it has gone much longer now. They are continuing some searching, but it appears that they're weighing more heavily on the investigative side of this, which of course they're not going to really talk about, given the trying to protect the integrity of that investigation. But they seem to be focusing more on that than actually trying to recover the children, which of course I'm sure they still will, because regardless of whether they're alive or dead at this point, it's awful to even say that, they certainly do want to recover the remains of the kids.
You know, people are going back over this timeline, you know, as our police as part of their investigation. Lilly and Jack were first reported missing May the 2nd, and then a nonstop multi-agency search began on the very same day. Then on May 7th, police scaled back that investigation and added that the chances of the children being alive, as you just mentioned, were very low. Then after that, May 17th and 18th, there's this renewed ground and air search of Lansdowne Station. That didn't find any evidence. Tell us what that means about the scope of this investigation. Is it narrowing in on something?
I think what it means really is that the RCMP know more about this than we do, which is totally understandable. The RCMP are good at this sort of thing. I mean, they've been conducting huge searches and conducting major investigations for a long, long time. So we have to rely on them and the fact that they know what they're doing. They're led by their investigation. I'm sure they're following evidence and deciding where to go and what to do based on that, as well as tips and other things that they're receiving. But, you know, the speculation in the community and on social media is just crazy, you know, pointing fingers at all sorts of people, which may have had nothing to do with this. So we really have to let the RCMP continue doing what they do well.
Chris, I want to ask you about that because people watching this morning have probably read some of those social media posts. And you're right. They, you know, in an information vacuum, I have learned that people begin to fill it in with their own detective work and their own sleuthing and trying to put together clues on their own. What kind of a challenge does that kind of attention bring to a case like this?
Well, it certainly brings attention to it, and bringing attention to it at times isn't a bad thing because it may generate some tips from the public. But, you know, it's really a lot of pushing the RCMP into a corner in terms of trying to get them to say X or Y about who they suspect or what they suspect. And that's not fair to them. They just need to be able to do what they do. Without that sort of pressure on them. At the same time, it's putting pressure on people because, you know, folks are saying, well, when she said this, when he said that, you know, they're pointing fingers and maybe towards very innocent people. So in fairness to them and the RCMP, that we just need to back off on that and let things happen.
You know, one of the things, Chris, that comes up as well is the fact that if this story perhaps had happened in a bigger center, one of the major, you know, Montreal, Calgary, Toronto, Vancouver, this would be a story that would be headlines every day. 2 young children disappeared without a trace, a massive investigation, yet it doesn't seem to have that kind of attention here in Canada. Is it because of the smaller community? Like, what would your insight to that be?
Well, I think it would be this because of the smaller community. As we know, the news cycle and the number of news outlets in a place like the Greater area are just, you know, so much bigger and more powerful than the smaller arm in the Eastern Canada. So that certainly is part of it. You know, down there, I know, and I know people in Nova Scotia that, I mean, they're very, very touched by this. Yeah. But a very small population there comparatively. So it doesn't seem to be receiving the same amount of interest, which is sad in many, many ways, and in reality in others, I suppose.
Chris, what are you watching for in the next couple of days?
Well, I'm waiting for the RCMP to make some sort of an announcement that they've either located the children or they've made an arrest. I mean, they're really looking at the who, what, where, when around all of this and following tips and leads. And I think that big piece of that is a big machine that's happening without us seeing it. And that's the way it should be. But I think we'll hear something from them in the days to come.
Chris Lewis, CTV public safety analyst and former OPP commissioner. Always great to have your insights. Thank you.
You too.
Interesting. So he feels that we'll hear something, right? All right, let me see what I missed. Looks like I missed a bit. All right. Ontario Provincial Police, OPP. That's interesting. Yes, Cecilia, it is sad. Always on empty 72. Good to see you. I love the background too. I always try to make something inviting, like you would want to come in and speak with me and have a cup of coffee or tea with me. That's my goal. Um, Ginger says, if the RCMP are as good as he says, why didn't they use their own search teams? No judgment, just curious. Um, I don't know. I assume they brought in different people because they had more. I don't know. In Nova Scotia, the RCMP don't have a ground search team. They call in the ground search and rescuers from around the province whenever needed. That makes sense. They do have drone teams, 3 of the 8 drone operators on the search for RCMP affiliated, and I believe it was 2 of the 8 search dogs were canine units. Awesome. Awesome. Yes, we do appreciate that information, Kent. You keep changing your name, girl. uh, so, every single news broadcast or professional broadcast that I have heard talks about social media aspect. Now, one of the things that she brought up, I was really surprised about, was how small the area, and he was saying how they're not taking much interest. And like, what? Because I see it all over YouTube. So I don't know if it's just not all over in that area or what's going on, but I think that Jack and Lily are getting quite a bit of airtime. But I mean, I don't know. As far as people putting pressure on RCMP, I understood what he's saying there, and I get that there are reasons why some people may have lost trust in law enforcement, no matter where it is, whether it's Canada, whether it's United States. But guys, as a whole, we have to trust law enforcement in our area. And I'm saying that because, first of all, we don't know what they go through on a daily basis. And, they're people like you and me. They're doing the best that they can do. Right? And I just, I'm not so quick to make a snap judgment, right? Yeah, I mean, I don't know where he's been looking because it's on X, it's on Facebook, it's on YouTube, and obviously TikTok because that one girl's on TikTok showing those videos that I showed you earlier. So, I mean, I don't know where he's looking. They're not getting a lot of national news coverage. Okay. There's just over 1 million people in the whole province of Nova Scotia, and there's around 38,000 within the county of Pictou. Okay. The headline news channels are given daily or by daily updates, but they don't get no more information from the RCMP than what the general public does. So until something breaks in the case, they're just repeating themselves. I agree with you, Kent. That's, and guys, I've told you that. That's one of the reasons why, I don't talk on Sebastian every night. I'm not going to keep repeating myself, right? It's not because I don't want to talk about Sebastian, right? And the same is going to happen in this case. Right now, we're following different information that came out, right? But we're not a month into this yet, Eventually, it'll, hopefully we won't come to that point that we're at with Sebastian, but some don't consider YouTube news. I know. CBC is in need of more funding from the government. I mean, I don't know about those things at all. I have no clue. I was listening. I was gonna play it, but then I thought, no, I don't think I will. But there was a lawyer talking, and he was talking with another guy from Canada, and they brought up some good points. One of the points that was brought up was they felt that the search teams should have been called in immediately, and they weren't in this case. And I'm having a hard time. Okay. Canadian joke. All right. I'm having a hard time finding exactly when the search teams got there to help. But if they have to pull those search teams from other places, then I can understand why it might be a couple hours instead of right away. So I guess that would make a little bit of sense to me. I'm just saying. And they too talked about social media, and people going after people, which we're not doing here. I refuse to go real life on anyone. What matters is Lily and Jack being brought home, right? And I'm not gonna go after mom or stepdad. That's up to law enforcement. It entirely is. Do we all have our own opinions on what we may or may not think? Of course we do. We're human. We have opinions. We have our thoughts. But I'm just not going to go there. Because like Mr. Yummy, I don't want my skin to be sued. For those of you who weren't here a few minutes ago, Deception Detective said he only watches creators with skin in the game. In other words, he wants us to tell it like it is. And, well, not even tell it like it is, tell what we think, and I'm just not going there. I'm not going to accuse somebody of something that I don't know what happened. We don't know. I mean, we know mom and dad said that the kids went missing Friday morning, right? But we don't know if that's really the case or not. Because the last we knew, they got off the bus after school on Tuesday. Wednesday was a holiday. They weren't in school on Thursday and they went missing on Friday. So, or they were reported missing on Friday. So we do not know what happened. Was there some kind of an accident? Some kind of cover up? Were they taken and given to somebody else? I mean, and were they gone before Friday morning? Many of us have our own thoughts. You know, and yeah, Ginger brings up a good point. We can be kind but we can still speculate, right? That was on Tuesday when the call came in from the missing kids. They pulled the ground searchers off the kayaker case because they found the kayak and sent them to the missing kids. Gotcha. On Tuesday. Wow. By that afternoon, the helicopters and divers, Friday at supper time, found the body of the missing kayaker. One helicopter and 2 or 3 of the drone teams left right away. And by supper time, Friday night. Gotcha. And that lawyer guy also said those scent trails could have been put down days before they were called in missing. The resources were over on the kids, like it would have taken 24 hours for them to get here, other than the Picture County team if they weren't already in the county. Anybody who talks like that in this doesn't know what was happening. I see what you're saying. So they'd already been working, they were already tired, and then they had to come into this terrain, right, Kent? And so that was the call to the coroner that we heard on dispatch. That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense, Kent. Thank you for sharing that information. That makes a lot of sense. See, and I'm glad I didn't play that lawyer thing. The fact that he was Canadian and that he's a lawyer, and I didn't contact him to get permission to use his video, so I didn't want to use to play his video, right? But that makes a lot of sense. They were in the area, but no wonder they were tired, right? They come off of, a search like that, and then they're on this horrific terrain. You guys saw pictures of that, right? Yeah, and Kanan, I was really surprised, that he's a lawyer. I mean, and what was funny is, he was criticizing the searchers coming in, but then he also was criticizing social media creators who were talking about the case. And I'm like, wait a minute, pot calling kettle black. It just, it made no sense to me, right? And yeah, if I would have played it, I would have called him out on it, because it kind of irritated me, because here at Granny's Crime Busters, we're not out to hurt anybody, right? We just want to bring awareness for these kids to be found, and to be found safely. Obviously, even the RCMP do not believe that they're alive anymore, but we can always hold out a little shred of hope. But I'm just saying, I mean, that's what we do here. Now, what I do understand that there are other creators out there that are going real life, and they're going into backgrounds and court cases and court files on guys. I will not do that here because, unless unless what they did in their past could contribute to what was done with Jack and Lilly, it doesn't matter for this case. And if it does contribute, if their past does contribute to what happened to Jack and Lilly, law enforcement will figure that out and will do what's needed to be done. And we have to trust them to do that. Yes. Thank you for helping put those puzzle pieces together, because it really does help to know. I mean, that's good information for us to know that they were out there. We heard that dispatch call, guys. We heard it. And we wondered what it was. And then the next day I came back and said it had to have been for something else. It wasn't for these kids. Right? Well, there you have it. So those searchers came directly from there to here. No wonder they were so doggone tired. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you live. We all have them. After you heard what the lawyer said, you were wondering how confident that province is in their RCMP. Well, that's awesome. That is awesome. At least they got there right away. As quickly as they could. So, and after looking at the map yesterday, I'm just concerned that those kids weren't, that they're not in the woods, but that they're in the water somewhere. And that's a scary thought. That's a real scary thought. But we did find a new, we've seen this before. But now we have this whole big page on Lilly and Jack. And it has all this information. The link is in the description, guys, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in the chat so you can have it. Has a lot of information. One of them that I found interesting. Let's see. Was that it said somewhere in here, and I don't remember quite where. But about mom getting upset and then sitting in the ambulance and then leaving. And after that, it was just Dan saying she's blaming me and she's totally blocked me on everything. So she shut down her Facebook. There's even some dispatch calls on here, guys. But she shut down her Facebook. Here it is. Malaya Brooks Murray and Daniel Martell attended, and this was on May 3rd, 4 p.m. They attended a briefing at the search and rescue headquarters on Lansdowne Station Road. According to Martell, Malaya Brooks Murray left in the middle of the briefing and was sitting in the back of an ambulance. She then left the area with her mother, and Martell stated that he has not seen or heard from her since. He says she cut off all contact with him following this. So she was seen sitting in the back of an ambulance. It doesn't mean anything happened to her. She was just sitting in the back. Maybe she was upset about something. Maybe that's when she found out. Maybe RCMP said there's no way the kids are alive. I mean, could be anything, right? Yeah, the emotional stress of finding a 16-year-old deceased that was out on the lake kayaking with his 13-year-old brother. And then immediately coming off of that without time to recover a missing search for a 4 and 6-year-old. No, I can't even imagine that. I can't. And then doing that on that kind of terrain. Yeah, I don't have the heart to do that either. So anyway, it gives kind of a timeline, but there's not, RCMP is never given a clear timeline. There's just putting in some things that we know for sure. Here are some pictures. I can share them. Missing vulnerable person. Missing Children's Society of Canada. There's a picture of kind of the front of the property. Kind of a side view. The back part of the property. Closer up look at the RV that the mother and brother were living in, I guess. Remember we were looking at this and we were wondering if that was all open there. Sure enough is, guys. Quite a number of pictures of the property. This is where they searched. It's a guy looking at the map. That is a picture of the helicopter and their flight pattern over the property. And I'm not sure why they did this one because it's closer to Truro. I don't know if that's where the helicopter took off from or. When I was reading that, I was confused because Daniel said they went through the fence at the back of the property into the woods. Yeah, I mean, there are some confusing things, right? Like he said they went through the back of the fence and into the woods. So let's look at that. It's this one. They could get through that if they came out. Obviously went straight into the woods here. Is that where the boot mark was found? I mean, I don't know. The boot prints were in the driveway pointing towards the road. Driveway is probably 100 feet. Gotcha. Yeah. Trying to get a good picture of the driveway. There we go. So yeah, like 100 feet. So if they went through that area right there, up into the woods that way, it's going up on a slope. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know. I seriously. Didn't they say a blue shirt and a pink shirt was found? Somebody said that. I don't know if that's true. And I heard Dan said it wasn't hers. I don't know. They said that she had a panic attack when the RCMP were given the update briefing. Well, and it makes you wonder, is that when they said that? Because they have been, I mean, pretty much from the beginning, they have said that they didn't believe the kids were alive anymore. Was it the third day, I think? I mean, I think there's red flags from both of the parents, right? We know that Daniel has talked about Lilly in the past tense, which is always a red flag. The stories haven't always been, they've changed. But I don't know. It's really difficult to tell. Hi, Neural. Oh, it was a blanket that they disagreed on? Yeah, stats said a small child can only survive 3 days without water. And as rural as this place is, I mean, those kids, that is one thing that lawyer had to say. So this place is rural. Even if those kids put their boots on, walked out the back door and walked down to the driveway, somebody would have had to been waiting there to pick them up. And what are the odds of that, guys? Right? So, yeah, it's a very isolated area. I mean, there are people there. It's just not it's not real populated. It's very rural. So for somebody just I mean, it's not like it's a a major connecting road to anywhere, right? Right, Kent. It's not an urban or city area where you have neighbors back to back. They have privacy. Yeah. It's not a major connecting road that people are going to be driving by all the time, that kind of thing. So it's not like the odds of them being abducted slim to none, right? Now, could the parents have given or sold them to somebody? That's a possibility, right? I mean, so that was there an accident? Did something like that happen? I mean, there's always those possibilities. I personally don't believe that they went missing Friday morning. I think they were gone before that, but I could be wrong. When one of the helicopters came back, they would have come back from the Bible Hill area. Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It, you're not going to get a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old to hopefully walk out to you. Yeah, except Summer lived by a well-traveled road. Yeah, it just, my heart goes out to these kids. You know, I when you look at the map of where they live and when you look at how much Dan liked to fish, obviously he knows the terrain around there. He knows where to go fishing. And many of those, we talked about it yesterday, many of those lakes and waterways, end up going into the ocean. Exactly, Neural. Not being in school prior to missing, huge red flag. Yes, huge red flag. The other red flag to me was, typically, aren't you going to be up with your children on a school day by 8 o'clock? Right? And for me, if my kids were sick, you're up every day to see, okay, are you better this morning? No. Okay. You want some juice or something? Let's go back to bed. Mama give you some medicine and go back to bed. Or you feeling better? Let me take your temperature. Let me see. Okay. All right. Let's get dressed and ready for school. I'll get your breakfast going, whatever. But you're going to be up every single day to see, are they okay to go to school or are they not okay to go to school? And they were not up. I mean, Mom admitted she was dozing in her bed and she heard the kids playing. So she already determined that she wasn't going to send her to school that day. But don't you have to call in? Yeah. I mean, it is absolutely a red flag, in my opinion. Is there something I'm missing there? But that's what I did with my kids. I don't know when they did go to school. But yeah, I don't know. Yep. Took 2 of them to be with the baby. I agree. The shirts that were found were considered to be years old. They did find a pink blanket. Daniel said it wasn't Lily's, but it was the mother that pointed it out and said it was. Gotcha. Thank you for that. So the shirts were old. You know, even though the shirts were old, that's kind of weird that those shirts were out there, isn't it? I mean, who would, I don't know. It's just kind of weird, right? But even the pink blanket, I don't know. And they did say they found fresh bear tracks. Cecilia, we don't know. Kent, do you know? Is Meadow the baby still with mom? No one has official confirmation. Gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, they never really let us know. We do know that Daniel went to CPS to try and see her, but they wouldn't let him. But that's all we know about that. You know. Interesting though. You got to wonder if RCMP thinks the kids are off and in the water as well, will they come out and say that? Or what will they say? Or will the case just go cold? Yeah, depending on where it was found, I guess. I mean, if those shirts were found in the middle of the woods, that would make me wonder. If they were found on the side of the road, that's different, right? Then yes, things definitely. I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen on freeways as well. Things blowing out of the back of boats, traveling down freeways. I think the next thing we will hear is an arrest or they found them or both. Do they go with circumstantial evidence in Canada? Gotcha. Kent, do you know where they found the shirts? I mean, were they like on the side of a road somewhere, or I suppose they're not really going to say. New life jacket and fishing rod. Yeah, that can happen. Um, but anyway, there was a statement by Hardward, Sipicannectic chief and counsel issued a statement. We understand the people across Turtle Island are closely following the case of Jack and Lilly Sullivan, who went missing on the morning of Friday, May 2nd from Lansdowne Station in Pictou County. Our chief and council administration and the entire community are united in our strong desire to see these children return home safely. Our thoughts are with them every moment until they are found. Given the seriousness of this situation, we want to remind our community and the public that regardless of personal feelings or speculations, our collective focus should remain on the children's safety. It can be easy to get caught up in various narratives and assumptions, but we must prioritize ensuring Jack and Lily are found and returned to their loved ones. We kindly ask our community to approach this sensitive situation with compassion and understanding. Please refrain from jumping to conclusions or sharing unverified information, as this can complicate the efforts of the multiple agencies involved in the ongoing investigation. Your cooperation and patience are invaluable during this time. We encourage community members to come together to support one another, whether through sharing helpful information, providing emotional support, or participating in awareness efforts. Every action counts. Let's continue to keep Jack and Lily close in our hearts and minds as we navigate this challenging time together. I really thought that was a well-written statement. I really, really liked how they put that. I liked how they said, don't speculate. Let's just focus on Jack and Lily, you know. So Kent, you would say that the bus probably comes at 7:30 or so. Yeah. See, so, you know, yeah. I agree with you. It could all be part of the cover story narrative. Um, we don't know, do we? We don't know. We don't know exactly when these kids went missing or exactly what happened to them, because and that's, I'm sure, what RCMP are looking into. What happened between the hours after school, after the children were dropped off by the bus Tuesday, until Friday morning when they were reported missing. Those hours going to be very important, and I'm sure they're looking into it. No matter what anybody thinks about law enforcement, RCMP, it doesn't matter. I'm sure they are looking into this, right? I really feel that. I don't see how they could not be. And then there are a bunch of different newscasts that are there as well. So pretty in-depth page on Jack and Lily. I'm very impressed with what they have here, right? Quite a few pictures of the property, land, and given us, kind of a rundown. I didn't really see anything that was wrong on here. Um, You know, I could be wrong. I might have missed it, but I didn't see anything that I felt was wrong. It's hard to say what happened. Yeah. Um, the 16-month-old is probably in the custody of her grandma or a relative that has spent time with her. 16-month-old children still need bonding time. Yeah. Well, depending on what they found to be true or not true, I mean, I don't know. Um, Sister goes to Kurt Cove every summer. Gotcha. Is that near there somewhere, Cecilia? Anyway, I have bookmarked this page and I'm going to kind of keep an eye on it because they are keeping it updated. So, yeah. There was something that actually was shared with me. I think I might have already got rid of it. Oh, it's in Canada. Gotcha. Okay. So when you look at this map, this is where they live, right? But the map that we looked at yesterday was pretty it showed us more of how quickly somebody could get to a bay that flows into the ocean or the ocean itself, right? Just a matter of a couple of hours. And then the kids are gone for good. They'll never be found if that's the case. And I hate to think of that, but oh, that was a command center. Gotcha. I just hate that this case could end up being where we don't bring the children home, right? And that bothers me so much. It really does. It bothers me big time. Because even if they're not alive, I'd like to see their bodies brought home for decent burial. But if they're out in the ocean somewhere, that's not going to happen. And we don't know that that's not the case. Yeah, I question that too. If he believes they went in the woods, why jump in a car and drive around? I mean, he made the statement that they went out the back, went through the fence, and went into the woods. So, but he said his first thought was to jump in the vehicle, look around on the roads and the culverts. Why? Red flag right there. It doesn't make any sense to me. We all need to keep the faith. Well, we can all have that glimmer of hope, can't we, K9? Right? I, for one, and I'm sure you guys are too, but I, for one, am really tired of following these kids' cases and not having a resolution. It's so frustrating and so heartbreaking to me. Look at Summer Wells, you know, Michael Vaughn, Sebastian, and now these guys, and there's more, I know. But, we start out with these cases and we so want resolution. We're hoping for resolution. We're praying for it, and time goes on, right? And that's why I keep saying we need to protect our kids before the fact. So, telling everyone they will want to make a timeline for every minute of every day. Yeah. I mean, they've already spent 4 hours interviewing Dan. It's what they said. I don't know how many hours they spent interviewing Mom. They haven't said that, right? They have said they spent 4 hours interviewing Dan. They need to know minute by minute what was done from Tuesday when those kids were dropped off until they were reported missing on Friday at 10. Minute by minute playbook, right? Yeah, Cecilia, it's hard. I know. And I don't mean to be a downer. It just gets to me sometimes too. Well, so does law enforcement give timelines? I mean, I've not seen a timeline from Sumner County. Have you guys? Did they do a timeline in Summer Wells' case, law enforcement? I don't. You usually don't see that kind of thing until it's a criminal case, right? And it goes to court. Exactly, Kent. Until it goes to court, we're not going to see a full timeline. Because they don't just put that out there. Hello, Queen. Good to see you, hon. Yeah, I'd be surprised if we got the timeline before anything goes to court, right? But here's the other thing. So, did anybody ever answer? Did I miss it? Does Canada do circumstantial cases? Kent, Ginger, Shelley. Yeah. I realize that, Kent, that they're not like, well, they're like the Royal Army, aren't they, Kent? Or am I mistaken? You've seen many circumstantial cases. Trials in Canada aren't broadcast. I don't know. That would suck. We're getting used to that, aren't we, Melissa? Having trials, to be able to see trials. Yes, they're like your FBI. That's what I thought. Yeah. I knew they were more because they're called Canadian National Force are different. Yeah, because they're called the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, aren't they? Ginger, are trials in Canada broadcast? I have a feeling they're not. No, cameras usually in the courtroom, but they're reported as on. Yeah, gotcha. 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 Well, interesting though. It it is interesting to cover a case that is not in the United States for me because I'm in the United States, right? So not knowing the laws of your country and Ginger has been a big help, but then now Shelley and Kent, you guys are amazing that you're able to give us this insight. They have sketch artists and report on the news. Yeah. It's kind of what we used to do. And still do in some cases. Some cases are not broadcast. Some judges don't like it, right? But you know, and then what happens is you have to go by whoever was in the courtroom telling you what happened, right? A lot of privacy laws, yeah. Right, but if you what we were looking at yesterday, Kent, was um since the kids were missing from Tuesday afternoon, I mean, could be allegedly missing from Tuesday afternoon, sometime between Tuesday afternoon to Friday morning at 10. That's plenty of enough time for someone to drive to, say, the Bay of Fundy, which empties out into the ocean, right? And if a person is familiar with doing a lot of fishing and big fishing, I'm just saying, there's a possibility. And yeah, they did sonar in the lakes in the areas because we saw a report on that. I mean, I was amazed when we looked at the map yesterday and we did the mileage check. How, it was like just 2 hours away to the Bay of Fundy. And yeah, the North Cumberland Strait as well. It would either have to have been taken to the ocean or there's a tidal river about 20 minutes away that would eventually empty into Pictou Harbor than the North Cumberland Strait. Gotcha. Oh, that makes sense too if they were put into something before they were put into the lake. Yeah. And they just did sonar, right? They didn't have dive teams on those lakes, did they? I mean, because here's what I said yesterday, and guys, again, allegedly, we don't know what happened, right? This is all just throwing things out there. But so if you want to get rid of missing children, your first thought is, okay, police are going to think that they wandered off into the woods. Okay. Are you going to go and put them in the woods and travel through that terrain and try to hide them there? Or are you going to spend a couple hours, go directly to the Bay of Fundy or the North Cumberland Strait and make sure that they're out in the ocean where they can never be found? Hello, Cheryl. Good to see you. I mean, I know they had dogs out there, so I don't know. They haven't given us a whole lot of information about what they did. I don't think that's on the. I'm just looking at this thing here. Yeah, it doesn't say whether they checked their vehicles or not with cadaver dogs. There were 5 canine teams, guys. So, yeah, but they don't say specifically whether they checked their vehicles. I don't know. It says we have no confirmation the cadaver dogs were brought in yet on that main search when they stopped. That's what the RCB said could happen next. But there's less of them in the province than canine units. Gotcha. Okay. But next to the cadaver dogs, I think they need to get up with GPR. Oh, you heard they did do ground disturbance radar? Gotcha. Interesting. Interesting. Well, I don't know, guys. I hope and pray that those kids are found and that they are found in the woods. That would be incredible. That they could be brought home. I mean, that's all we can, we just pray that those kids are brought home and that whoever is responsible, if there is someone that's responsible, they'll be brought to justice, right? So today's grannyism is nothing matters but the facts. Without them, the science of criminal investigation is nothing more than a guessing game. Blake Edwards said that. And it's true. Nothing matters but the facts. In the end, that's what matters, right? We can speculate all day, but without the facts of the case, there's not going to be a conviction. I know we saw the picture of him lounging on it. Did he use it? Or did they? I mean, we know that RCMP did ask them not to go in there, even over this last search. So it could very well be that. Remember that, guys. Both searches, they asked people not to go and search. So let's not get on anybody, about searching because they don't want them in the woods for that. There you go, Cheryl. It really is rural, hon. It really is rural. But yes, if he traveled a ways, he might have bought gas. And you're right. If he traveled to the oceans, he might have brought gas. No doubt about that, right? But I'm sure law enforcement is looking into that, guys. And yeah, Kent, circumstantial evidence cases are harder, aren't they, to get a conviction from? They're much, much more difficult. We love you too, Cecilia. Yeah, no worries, Kent. But if he did get gas, and there was a camera, might show where he was going, which would, I don't know, right? I don't know. But Lord, please let these kids come home. Let us have resolution in this case. Oh my gosh. Then you always have to make sure that you've got gas. Even when I lived in a little town 20 miles away from here, there was a gas station there. It was a town of 200 and we had a gas station. Seriously. So, yeah, I find that really difficult. Yes, he was. He was running in waist-high water and going ahead of the drones and the helicopters. Yeah. Why do you say he didn't take the kids that far away, Kent? I mean, I guess, is there some reason that you believe he didn't take them that far away? Is there something that we don't know that? I mean, I'm just curious. You're 5 minutes away from North Cumberland Strait. Gotcha. Yeah, that's true. I guess it would be a little risky. I'd be scared. But then I wouldn't do it. Oh, goodness. Well, guys, that's all I have for tonight. So I want to thank you all for being here. Kent, thank you for sharing your wealth of information about the area. We appreciate that so very much. It really does help because we want facts. We don't want, garbage. And we really do appreciate it. We really do. But I want to thank you all for being here tonight. Please hit the like button on your way out. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you all have a wonderful evening. Thanks so much. Thank you for watching another episode of Granny's Crime Busters. We really appreciate each and every one of you. Don't forget to subscribe and like and even share the content. You can follow us on any of our other social media platforms at YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We really appreciate you guys, and you can also email us at granniescrimebusters@gmail.com. Thank you so much, and we will see you on the next one. Thanks, guys.